Good morning and a very, very warm welcome to you folks on another lovely day here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. We have just exited camp and we moved towards Vuyatela Dam, where apparently there were tracks or visual of lions last night, and we found the tracks, turned around, and 300-400 yards from camp we have got two adult members of the Nkuhuma Pride, including Amber Eyes and the youngest member of the Pride. They have killed a zebra, and we have got looks like five hyena coming in from the right-hand side, folks. This is how the mornings can start in the African bush. They can be quiet, and they can also be full of action. This is an amazing way to start our day, and if these five hyena decide to come in, it could be quite interesting. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and on camera I'm with VM the wildebeest. Thankfully it's not a wildebeest they killed, it is a zebra. And there is the very, very young cub that has been feeding. You can see there's some blood on the chin. It's very close to mum, and it was giving the hyena a bit of a look before. And there is Amber Eyes, I believe everybody's favorite. Face was deep in that zebra for a moment, and we are in quarantine, a big open area near camp where Herbie was doing his thing yesterday, and we always find a small group of zebra and wildebeest in this area. And we should have noticed as we came out this morning that it was very quiet. There are still some impala milling around in this area, but this is a fantastic way to start. You can see the hyena building up their ranks on the right, trying to motivate themselves. We do have two other vehicles with us here from Djuma with their guests. Like us, they came out of their camp probably about 30 seconds to a minute. We called in the tracks heading in this direction, and they spotted the lions. We should have spotted them, but we were looking the other way. It is the way it works, and the beautiful thing of the radio. And there we go. She's not too bothered about those hyena. A clan of hyena, 4 or 5 strong, could easily outcompete a single lioness, sometimes two, but quite often reputations of lions can precede them. And in the case here, this female does not look at all bothered by the 5 hyena coming in from the right. They are keeping their distance. They're even lying down. Would you like me to reposition Vim so you can get the hyena, or are you happy? Yeah? So while we reposition to see if we can get a better visual of these hyena, we're going to introduce Scotty this morning, who is also out on game drive. Live indeed, folks. This is real live game driving. And as I said before, we had barely even brushed off the cobwebs of the vehicle before we found this kill this morning. And Amber Eyes is licking up the blood inside. It saves having to walk back to the pan to drink. There that looked like a little bit of an internal organ. Might have been part of the kidney. Very hard to say. But these two lionesses with the youngster, they haven't eaten a huge amount of the zebra. There's still a lot of it here. A lot of meat, but they'll often start with the juiciest internal bits. Lots of iron, lots of nutrients in there. The stomach content is splayed all across the grass in front of the belly of this animal. You can see it there. There's all the stomach content on the ground. And I don't seem to see any intestines, and the huge cecum, which is similar to our appendix, is gone. And it's not uncommon to see lions eating that once they've squeezed all of the juices and fecal content out. But she's got quite a decent sized belly, but definitely they haven't been feeding aggressively. 2 lionesses on a kill like this would be quite an easy way to go. There wouldn't be too much competition. There's a lot of food available. It's a great way to start the morning. Absolutely fantastic way. There she is. Look at those beautiful eyes. Very alert for an animal that's been feeding. We don't think this is too long ago, probably a couple of hours. Don't know when. There was a little bit of rain last night when we woke up this morning, and that was on top of their tracks coming up the road. So a good couple of hours they've been here. I didn't hear any alarm calls last night of the zebra. Look at that. That is a lot of strength. Okay, Lou seems to think she heard some alarm calls coming from this area about 11:30 or so. It's not too far off. But I think that Amber Eyes is thinking about maybe moving that kill to the shade. Yes, Ali, that is a fantastic comment. This is how Safari Live should start. Lions and leopards straight off the bat. We even asked Lou to start the stream early because the hyenas looked like they were massing to come in, but they have since decided that they would rather just lie down and have a bit of a displacement. Now the lionesses lay down, showing not too bothered, and then the hyena did the same. Ah, there we go. Isn't she beautiful? So folks, don't worry, we're going to stay right here. We're not going anywhere. And while we stay with these lions and watch the interaction. Oh, there's some lions calling. Did you hear that, V? Was it a hyena? Sorry, it's difficult with my earpiece. Some audio came off from the right, yeah? Caused the lions to look. But anyway, sorry about that. Well, we are going to stay here. We're not going anywhere. And while we do so, I believe Scott has got another friend of mine, Mr. Ronald. Yes, thank you, Scott. Ronald needs an upgrade for a bit of speed, it seems. Here we go, folks. There we have Amber Eyes doing exactly what carnivores do with that carnassial shear. See the side of her teeth there? If you were around when I was in the tent last week, remember those very sharp teeth on the side for cutting. She's cutting through the sinew there. Even looks like she's going for the bone. See if you can hear it. I can hear it with my ears. To those sensitive viewers out there, we apologize for any graphic images, but this is the way nature unfolds out here, and the death of this zebra will go to the health of these lions and to their livelihood. That little youngster will actually do very well having a meal like this. Debbie asked the question about the zebra and its size. It's about the same size as the lion. It's not a fully grown individual. No, it's very hard to say what sex it is, but it doesn't look like a very big animal. Just looking at the hoof. The hoof itself is not very, very big, but it's not a baby. Not a baby, definitely a sub-adult. And I would say by the size it was probably a female, but it's hard. It's hard to really say. Hard to ascertain, but it's not a big male or a big female, that's for sure. And there she is enjoying a little bit of the rump. This is a marvelous way to start. Leopards in the Mara, lions just outside of our camp. It's the reason why we need torches when we go to the bathroom. You don't want to bump into a pride of lions walking through, looking for zebra and finding us in our pajamas. Cheetah asks, is it dangerous having wild animals where we sleep? Well, of course it is. Of course it is. And we have to take precautions. It's not advisable to sleep with our door open, and we don't sleep under the stars. I have done many sleep outs in my life, and if we do sleep outs, you need to keep a fire burning all night, and there needs to be at least one person on sort of sentry duty. And it's not necessarily to be afraid of the lions. It's the hyenas that are the problem. They get very, very brazen and will come closer and closer and closer. And if there's no movement or shining on them or any sort of, alertness, then the hyena will get so close that it'll eventually grab you by the face or the neck. And unfortunately, that kind of bite can be lethal. But I've never had issues with lions. I've slept out under the stars many times. I've had lions approaching camp, coming nearby. I've had them calling, we've had them walking past, but never had an issue. Never had them grabbing people from the side of the fire. But hyenas can be a problem with that. So from apex predator, we are going to be... Folks, you're back with us, and Amber Eyes moved off, and apparently VM says she's quite a polite individual. She moved off towards our left-hand side to do her ablutions, and the 5 hyena took that as an opportunity to get up, raise their tails, and come in en masse, and the second lioness chased them away, full of aggression. She moved straight at them, and I'm not sure where that cub has gone to. Maybe she's with her, but both adult lionesses are together now. Oh, there's the cub. Okay, the cub's taken the cue from Mom that this is the opportunity to stay back and wait in the background and watch. And both lionesses moved in, and the hyena have since dropped their guard and moved off again. There's a brief moment of excitement. There we go. You see the territorial displacement happening there. The lioness on the right, she's now indicating to the hyena that this is their spot, and they cross that line at their peril. It happened so quickly, folks, that lioness was up and at them. Incredible charging speed that the lionesses have. I must just double check my little book here. I want to get the numbers correct for you. I have to work it out into feet. So the lion has got a charging speed of 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. That's 73 feet a second. A second, folks. Can you comprehend such a speed? So when on foot and faced with those movements of lions, it happens very quickly, and all sorts of bodily functions change when the lion charges you like that, and that's what happened to the hyena. Okay, so it seems like Amber Eyes has moved off again to the left. Wild Kesha has a question. Would the hyenas attack a lion cub? And most definitely. If they got that lion cub on its own, they would definitely kill it. Most definitely they would kill it, without a doubt. All of your larger predators, including leopard, hyena, lion, will kill each other's offspring. Quite often they'll even kill the same species offspring if it's not their own. It's a form of competition. And there we go. Going to try and move the lioness, the zebra carcass, towards the big marula tree. Look at that power, folks. That is incredible power being displayed there. And she's now in the little dip. That is why when animals drag a kill, for example a leopard or a hyena, which is generally the case when we try to follow them, you find that drag mark of that animal that it's been dragging between its legs. Lions don't generally drag it too far. I mean, we have quite a cool day at the moment. There's a lot of cloud cover, but instinctively they just know that moving that kill into the shade is going to be beneficial for them. Easy to defend, and also keeps the vultures at bay. As soon as the vultures start pulling in because they've seen the kill, that can attract other lions, can attract more hyena. And the last thing these lionesses want is for a big male lion to come in, because he will come and he will dominate that kill and steal it from them. Okay, I think she's going to try pull it out of that drainage there. She's got legs in the air. We might reposition in a moment. We'll just let this other vehicle do whatever it is that they're doing. So folks, we are having a fantastic morning. The wildebeest and I are not going anywhere, and Mr. Scott Dyson has had some luck of his own. You are extremely spoiled for choice, starting off with lions feeding to leopards and elephants and leopard cubs. This is just a phenomenal morning. I am just listening to it in my earpiece, and I cannot believe what you are seeing. Are you not lucky? It is another Catterday, midweek Catterday, and this female lioness has now come back into the drainage, or this little excavated termite mound, and she is feeding once again. The cub was in there for a while, busy feeding. They're approaching Amber Eyes, and VM says Amber Eyes doesn't like little cubs very much, but she's not too bothered. Going up to the elephant dung. See, you can actually see how small that cat is by the size of the elephant dung it just passed. It's very cute. A very small cub, in my opinion, to be moving around with two lionesses on the hunt. But with a meal like this, it will only make it stronger. I haven't yet identified the sex of that individual, but it's on a bit of a wonder. So with this lioness feeding, I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, but you can actually hear the bones crunching. VM was just commenting on, can you imagine trying to bite through bones like that with your teeth? We struggle with cooked bones, you know. Yeah, she is just ripping it apart. It's in the chest area now. It always amazes me the selection that lions go through when it comes to feeding. Quite often they start with the internal organs and then on the rump. If they're in a small group, if they're in a pride, they just eat. They eat whatever they can get their teeth on. Oh, hang on. Amber Eyes is having a stretch. What is she doing? She's walking towards the hyena, folks. Let's see what she's going to do here. The hyena is still lying down over there. They're very off guard. Very off guard. And she has been watching them deliberately for the last 20 minutes. But now that they're not watching her, she might try and press home some advantage. The female who's feeding is busy calling her cub who's wandered off. She's just off here to our right. But let's stay with Amber Eyes because, okay, the hyena has spotted her. There she's busy doing her display, urinating, territorial marking, showing that hyena who's boss. Now if that hyena thought it was anything, it would come and do the same on the exact same spot that the female has done. She's calling her cub. Cub's watching her. What do you want, Mum? I'm just exploring. I don't think the youngster knows the dangers that are lurking on the periphery of this kill. The hyena are all on the left-hand side of us here, so there's not a big problem. But a little cub like that is very prone to being taken out. She is. What's the problem, Mum? Robin asks a very good question. Would these lionesses call the rest of the pride? No, I do not think so. Lions eat when they kill something, and they'll be very selfish about it. The only time you find lionesses calling anybody is if they've got cubs that are nearby enough for them to go and fetch and bring back. But they wouldn't call the other adult females. They will eat this till it's finished, and then go and find the others again. If the others were close enough and found them, they would obviously welcome them in with snarls and spitting and biting, but they would probably allow them to feed, seeing as they are quite full now. But I've never seen lionesses deliberately calling, because if you call, what you're doing is you're attracting the attention of other lions as well as big adult males. And if the males come in here, well, the zebras by all means, not the lionesses anymore. But I have seen a female lioness kill a wildebeest before, young wildebeest, similar to the ones we have running around in the open plains here. And I saw her kill it right in front of the car. She looked at me, dropped it, and then walked away, and then came back with 9 cubs, about the same age as this one. Some were a little bit older, which was quite something to see. she put the carcass in front of them, but they were all still too young to break open the skin. And eventually they managed to feed, but it was quite something to see. But out of those 9 cubs, only 3 of them or 4 of them made it to at least sub-adult size before I left that area. But this little individual, let's see if we can get a sex on her. Okay, it sat down again. But I'm thinking it's a female, but it's hard to say. Oh, can you go in on the back of the left ear there, V? There's a really big fat tick there. Just want to go and pluck it off. I don't know if Mom would be too happy for me doing that. Big juicy tick. You can see it gorging itself with blood. At some point it will fall off the lion and reproduce, laying lots and lots of little ticks in the grass, which are the bane of our walking experience. Girl at Play asks a question, do the lions eat the animal in a specific order? And if they are just 2 like this, or 1, they will definitely feed on certain parts of it first. They often open up the belly, feeding on the liver and the vital organs that are full of nutrients, full of iron. I've seen them leave the stomach altogether and push it off to the side, where it actually grows into a big sort of air balloon type sac. Not often I've seen them eat the stomach straight away, and then they move on to the choice bits like the rump, the back strap, and then onto other parts of the body itself. But like leopards and cheetah, they'll often start feeding on the rump, the juiciest and most tender part of the animal. The cheetah don't go anywhere near stomach that I'm aware of, but I've seen lions taking intestines between their teeth and squeezing the contents out of them and then eating the intestine. We were actually looking at the pile of rumen, or not rumen, of stomach content on the floor. Don't know if you can still get a look at it there, V, but the lions had actually, there's a whole lot of blood there, but the lions had actually covered up a huge proportion of it. They'd actually scratched it and covered it with sand. It's hard to see from where we are now because we're repositioned, but they covered it, and it's probably to keep the smell down, or maybe the flies. It's very interesting to see how different lions behave with stomach contents. I've seen some just leave the stomach altogether, as I've said. I've seen others eat it straight away. I've seen others squeezing the intestine. I think much has changed, apart from the hyena starting to move around, and one decided to come a little bit closer, but didn't want to get anywhere near that territorial marking that Amber Eyes had done, and now they seems slowly, apart from the 2 that are lying down there. Oh, there's one sitting up. 2 have moved off north from where we are. Not interested anymore in trying to claim this. Oh, there we go, a little bit of interaction. There's all body language in hyena. The hierarchy, which I believe Ralph has been talking to you about. I wonder, we really would like some interaction here. The lionesses are both looking at them now. We'll just stay on the hyena though. Amber Eyes is a little bit droopy, but the other lioness is a little bit more interested. But the hyenas are quite far away. There almost seems to be like an invisible line now, drawn in the sand from where Amber Eyes did her territorial marking, that the hyenas are not going to cross. But let's see this one. It's coming directly towards that line. Let's see if it invokes any form of a reaction. No, not in the mood. There were 5 and now there are only 3. She's up. I think she's moving to the shade with the little cub. We spoke before, as VM told me, that Amber Eyes doesn't like little cubs too much. The cub came to give her a little bit of love and she growled at it. wasn't very aggressive, but it was just like a cantankerous old lady who doesn't like children. Probably would have behaved. But on Twitter there seems to be lots of comments about this cub and how skinny it is. And yes, it does seem quite skinny. It is quite early for it to really be eating a lot of meat. And it's, in my opinion, this cub is moving a lot with the adults. I don't think it is actually at the right age to be moving around too much. It should still be in a little litter with 2 or 3 other cubs and housed somewhere where mom comes back regularly to feed them. So I think this cub is actually moving a lot more than it used to, or should be, for an individual of its size. And we got a very clear visual just now, and it's definitely a female. I know there's a couple pictures on Twitter that weren't very clear to me, but got very good visual under the tail. Looks like a young female, but lions are resilient. And yes, it does look a bit skinny right now, but it's got no more competition with regards to it. Seemingly, I haven't seen this pride with more than one cub of this age since I've been here. So I don't know if the others are still around, but it doesn't seem like it from what I'm seeing here. But then also it is trying to compete in this pride where there's a whole lot of sub-adults that are much bigger and a little bit too rough perhaps for this youngster. And I was with these lions in Sandy Patch last week or the week before. He was definitely taking a little bit of a beating from the more dominant larger cubs or sub-adults. But it is a good test, and it has had a very nice meal now. It is sitting with a very full belly, and it's a lot of protein. It'll go in, and it's quite amazing to see in lions. I've seen it quite often with quite an emaciated female who was not looking very well. She was injured, and she had a sister that managed to hunt very effectively, and they had quite a few kills within the space of a week, and it was amazing how her condition changed and turned around with a whole lot of big meals. Obviously, it's quite difficult for an injured or sick lion to hunt, but if she's got sisters nearby that are willing to do the work for her, it's amazing how quickly that condition can turn around again. And here we have some very efficient hunters in the form of Amber Eyes and her sister. Beautiful, beautiful cats. Vespa Martini, I believe you are a new viewer. Well, there we have got a young Battalier eagle, which is generally the first raptor to find a kill. It is able to fly early in the morning. Vespa Martini, you are blown away with the sights, as am I, and I'm not even watching the show. I am here with lions, and there are leopards abounding and hyenas all over the place. It's very hard to keep track. But it doesn't always happen like this, as I'm sure a few of the viewers are commenting. This morning is off to an absolute flyer. But welcome, and please enjoy. Send your questions through to the hashtag Safari Live. Follow the YouTube stream, and we'll try comment and add to whatever you have to say there. That juvenile Battalier eagle has moved in. It's seen the zebra carcass, and the vultures will be soon to follow. They often follow the eagle eyes of the Battalier, and there's another one coming in, V, behind this one. There's a second bird. Can you see that one in the sky? I wonder what that is. Looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. Not as much of a scavenger as the other birds, but the beautiful flight pattern. You can see it's just starting to get a little bit of thermals. You can see it's still having to flap its wings. It's really cool now. The sun is only starting to break through the cloud. Oh, there we go. Look at that. He's caught something on the wing. Or was that scratching? Okay. Thanks, VM. VM corrected me. It looked like it was having a bit of a chin scratch. But it's not uncommon to see Wahlbergs catching all sorts of insects and things on the wing. But you can see how it's sort of soaring there and gliding a bit, and then from time to time flapping. It's quite a light eagle. Doesn't need as much thermal currents as your larger birds do, and that's what's limiting the vultures from moving around at this time of day. It's very energy costing to fly. Now, if you can't get any thermals, you can't get any air currents, it costs a lot of energy for them to fly. But I have no doubt that once one vulture is on cue and finds this place, you will see quite a few descending in. The lions haven't made a very good show of trying to hide this carcass. It is in this little depression, but it is very, very clear. Sprawled zebra legs from the top. A little bit of camouflage, almost like Ronald was yesterday with his camouflage. But this is an absolutely marvelous morning. And you can see the cub now if you go in on MV. On her, you can see that belly is quite distended. And you can see the lack of genitals behind. Nice big belly, that's a big meal of protein. It'll do that cub a world of good. Vesper Martini again commenting, you do definitely have one of the best jobs in the world. I agree. This is very hard work. This morning's enterprise consisted of us driving about 500-600 meters. So what's that? That's a quarter of a mile. Not even. And we found some tracks, and then we found the lions. So it's not always like this. But to be out in the wilderness, to experience this, to be able to show this to you viewers at home is an absolute privilege. And I must be honest, we do enjoy sitting here ourselves. VM was commenting on how we had 2 game viewers here earlier and they had to leave purely because the pressure of having to show guests more than one animal, and we are willing to stay here with these animals because we have at least 3 or 4 other comrades out there doing something similar. So we don't miss any of the action. The action is always going to be captured. We have Lou in the final control who is jumping between all the feeds and making sure you're getting all the best action as it comes. And from our lying down lions that are sleeping, we are going to be going up to the Masai Mara with Jamie with some more feline cats. Good morning once again. And our lions are very relaxed. Another hyena is coming back just to the left there, V. He's behind that termite mound. These hyenas have been coming up and down, up and down. Look at this beautiful cat. Look at those eyes, folks. She's coming to say hello. Not quite sure why she's walking directly towards us. She's going to use us for shade. What do you want? It's unbelievable how big she is, folks. When you are this close to a fully grown female lion, it is enormous. It is enormous. And those eyes are they're deep. And they are frightening. When they look directly at you, they're very penetrating and piercing. And the real state of courage in Africa for a man is to stand tall and face a lion in its eyes without backing down. And I've done it before. It is frightening. What is she doing, Vian? She's coming to say hello. Just having a little wander past the car. Maybe she's going to prefer this little shady spot right here. There we go. That's better. Right behind us. There you can see the hyenas are moving off again. Don't quite know what they've been doing. They were up and down, up and down. Maybe they've been going to the pan to drink and come back again. Now that third one is finally up. I think maybe they finished. They're done hanging around hoping for some scraps. VM made the comment that they did all look pretty full. But hyenas are gluttons and will eat whatever they can. There we go, lying down in the shade there. That's what's happening. We've got a bit of a Mexican standoff here. The Amber Eyes can't help herself. She has to look at them, her mortal enemies. If any of you have seen that documentary, Eternal Enemies, it is quite a powerful documentary on the interactions between lions and hyenas. I believe that was done up in the Masai Mara or somewhere where it's very, very open. The lions down here seem to be the number one in charge, because these hyenas are making absolutely no effort to instigate or come any closer. Lots of viewers commenting, wow, she came very close. You know, it wasn't scary, purely because the intention was not looking at me. She was very soft, her eyes were soft, her body posture, she was just walking. If she had more of a flattened ears and wide open eyes and staring directly at me, then I would have seen the intention would have been different. Just like this Amber Eyes is looking, she's looking completely relaxed, but as soon as the intention picks up, the ears go direction and the eyes go in the direction that she's looking, that entire body posture changes, and that's where you see intention. When you see intention in a wild animal, then that's something to pay attention to. But they see us as a box, and she basically saw us as this big box. She knows these vehicles quite well, and I'm not sure exactly why she walked directly towards us. Maybe just to let us know, hey, I'm here, don't come too close to my little cub. But what goes on in the mind of a lion is very hard to say. Oh, hyenas are running. Oh, we have a sprinkler that has burst, or a pipe that has burst, and that has caused the hyenas to jump and run in all different directions. Here they come running. There they go. You almost want to play a theme tune, don't you? I don't know what happened to that pipe there. But Amber Eyes is quite interested. She's also trying to figure out what it is that's the intention I'm talking about, folks. Look at the body language. Look at what an action-packed morning you folks are being shown. I cannot believe the things I'm hearing on my earpiece. I'm really looking forward to seeing the action highlights for this morning, because it has just been non-stop from the beginning. Ronald has even made a show, and I believe you've had some awesome visual of Ronald the Rover. Here we still have our lions. They lie down. They are very close to the zebra carcass, but they haven't done much. We were parked in the shade, and that's why they walked towards us. I think we had the nicest shade, but they're in a very good spot now, under this really nice big marula tree. Herbie was just here yesterday, giving you a whole lot of insight into this area, into some indigenous knowledge. And she's flat again. You know that they're at that uncomfortable stage, the lions, where their bellies are full and they don't quite know how to lie. And so it's a constant moving battle between this side and that side, and maybe a little bit more of an incline or a decline. But I tell you for a fact, they are nowhere near as full as lions can be. Generally, when you look at lions, if they've had a lot of competition with the feeding, their bellies are so distended that it is taller or higher than the shoulder blade when it's lying down. And these bellies aren't that distended. So they've still got a lot of feeding to go. But because of the lack of competition between them and other lions on the kill, they haven't felt the need to gorge themselves to the extent I've seen before. The little cub is quite full, and look at him, her, oh, hello. Who wants to go scratch that little chin? Very tempting, very tempting. It's very cute. It's very cute. It was sitting very close to Mum before, but I think because it's so full, it was uncomfortably warm, and it just moved away and slumped down in the grass. And it's finding it very difficult to find a comfortable position to lie. The burst pipe seems to be under control. I think they might have turned it off at the mains, but that's the pipe, I believe, from where it's sitting, that runs from one of the staff houses down towards Vuyatela Dam or towards Djuma Pan. So I'm thinking that's all it was. Don't think it's a train smash. It's just maybe an antelope stood on it at some point, or his pipes aren't the strongest of pipes, and just a hoof or maybe a bit too much sun. Eventually over time they degrade and they break. Oh, and we have some very brave squirrels that have been calling constantly since we arrived. There's a typical bounding of the squirrel. So fast. So fast. I haven't dared come too close to the lions, but there's a large mammal versus the small mammal. I don't think lions would do very well catching a squirrel. I've seen leopards catching squirrels before, but I don't think the squirrels would brave it and come too close. So folks, from these very flat lines, we're going to go across to my friend Noel, who I believe has a very interesting track for you. Not a safari guide indeed. Well, I am at the moment currently presenter for Safari Live, and probably for the last 6 years or so, with my studies being kind of steering me towards something I'm very passionate about. I've spent a lot of time in the last 6 years dealing with earthworms, doing earthworm composting, and I have a certificate in permaculture, and it's definitely something I'd like to get involved in. Whether it's training people to become more self-efficient, to live sustainably off the grid, I think it's very, very important in this day and age. We need to be able to grow our own food. When I was studying, I was growing my own food, and it's difficult being out here. We can't grow our own food. It's just not really possible. But I think everyone out there should be in the market for supporting themselves from an environmental point of view, dealing with your organic waste, providing your own food, and living sustainably. I don't know how much more I can say about that topic, but I definitely think there's a huge need in the world and there's a huge demand. It's definitely something I'm looking to invest in for the future. I'd ideally like to own my own farm, my own property, and then develop permaculture practices and even train people to do so. So while people are assisting me develop my property, I can undergo courses and practicals to enable people to further themselves. And Scott has a comment that we need to have a business meeting over breakfast. Indeed, Scotty. I know Scott just got...
Should have moved forward a bit more in that respect.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Ralph. We are now in shot with the lions, I believe, coming directly from the camera of Mr. Sebastian. And you can probably notice that there is no door between me and these big furry cats. They've looked at us. They've looked at us once or twice, but they don't seem too bothered unless I physically, if they look at me, stuck my legs out or climbed out the car. We're pretty safe in the vehicle. But if I had to physically climb out of this vehicle, it would change absolutely everything of these animals' behavior. And we do not want to do that. Essentially, the topic of that conversation is that they are habituated to the vehicle, and if they see people from a distance, they generally respond to that from a distance. But now what's happened is we are inside of their comfort zone. We are inside the zone that they could react. And if that reaction is very negative, people have been killed in the past by doing stupid things. So we are not going to be silly. The lions are very interested in what's going on over there with Seb and Scott, and I think that water pipe is still a little bit broken, and they seem to be keeping quite interested on that. But folks, from us this morning, it has been a wonderful action-packed broadcast from everybody here in Djuma and in the Masai Mara. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions, and we look forward to seeing you this afternoon. Good afternoon. Goodbye.